Right. So we were talking of the nature of history and about whether all history is contemporary, and we discussed the first part in English, and then we stopped with the second point. Now I want you to speak about what are your thoughts about these 3 points, whether whatever we get in books, whatever we get in movies, whatever we get in WhatsApp or in images. Can we believe that as history, or should we use our discretion? Should we use certain tests to check whether the presentation that comes to us of historical facts, to check if that is authentic, if that is based on credible sources, and what is the degree of authenticity of the narrative that reaches us? What is your opinion? Also, the 2 other questions: is history a complete story of whatever has happened in the human past, or it's an incomplete story, or is it only a partially illuminated kind of narrative? And final question is whether history is a scientific discipline, or is it a creative discipline, or is there a binary, or is there no binary? Yeah, your answers, please.
Ma'am, in order to answer the second question, that is, justice is what you get in court and history is what you read in books, question mark. So I think history is what you read in books is not a complete sentence. Yes, history, we read history in books, but history also lies in monuments, coins, the place where some event has happened, and also in caves and everything. For example, असं बघायला गेलं तर आता गुप्तांची पूर्ण हिस्ट्री माझ्या मते कॉइन्स वरून आपण इंटरप्रेट केली आहे. सो अशा प्रकारे बघायला गेलं पेंटिंग्स मधून दिसतं, केव्स मधून दिसतं, आर्किटेक्चरचे नमुने आहेत, या सगळ्या गोष्टींमधून हिस्ट्री आपल्याला कळते. सो इट्स नॉट ओनली अबाउट रीडिंग इन बुक्स. We know history in every sources we have.
Yes, Samruddhi. So you are talking of multiplicity of source materials. Am I right,
Yes.
Samruddhi?
Yes.
Sources
yes,
can be of varied nature. Also, going beyond sources, I am saying that, okay, these are the sources. There may be coins, there may be memories, there may be clothes, there may be food, there may be cultural patterns, whatever, language, all those things. And based on these source materials, somebody has written the narrative of history. And is that also a final version? Suppose I have witnessed certain things and I have written a book about something. Is that the final version of history? Is this the history, the with inverted commas? Or is it only a history?
I think it depends on what types of sources you have used, whatever approaches you have used in writing the history, but still it's a history, not the history.
Right. Because how much ever I may try, my history will always be limited by my vision. It will be limited by my knowledge. It will be limited by the access to sources that I have. It will be limited by many things. And again, even if it is not limited, the kind of history that I write based on these many sources and the kind of history that, for example, Aditya writes based on those very sources will be entirely different. This has been proven by the story that you just told me. Kauchuchi. In English we'll be discussing the story tomorrow, but the whole point of asking you to narrate the same tale in your own language is that the narrative itself is always different and it is shaped by what you are, whether you are a man or a woman or a transgender person, whether you are a person from Marathi speaking region or from a different region, whether you are an Indian person or a Japanese person, for example, whether you are a person living in the 21st century, you guys are all millennials. So your language is completely different than, for example, the language that I speak. I'm 50 and you are not more than 25. So the language differs, your understanding differs, your background differs. Some of you may know, for example, different languages. I may know a different language. All those things that we have in our, baggage that we carry, these completely shape the kind of history that we tell. And therefore, whatever is given in a specific narrative is not the history. It's only a history, as Samruddhi rightly pointed out. This is the point that I was trying to make through this question mark, that whatever is given in a specific narrative is not history with H capital. There are multiple versions, multiple narratives, just the way poetry, for example. A love poem is a single love poem written by whoever, Walden perhaps. Is it enough? Or there will be different expressions of love, or expressions of beauty, expressions of despair, whatever. In poetry, would you say that such and such person was one of the greatest poets ever? So it's enough now that he has written a poem on daffodils, for example. Nobody else needs to write a poem.
No, ma'am. No.
Why? Arusha?
Ma'am, I guess it depends upon that person's viewpoints or perception. Ma'am, because like historians, they write it from their own perception and
yes, and perception.
yes, ma'am, perspective or perception, and there can be some sort of biasness, or we can say partiality in it. So, ma'am, there are more chances that exact history might be different from the real one.
Yes.
And
yes.
ma'am, again, the same thing, history is nothing but this imagination and interpretation.
Yeah, which is, of course, deeply rooted in facts that are available to the historian. It's not just fiction like Alice in Wonderland, for example, but it is rooted in facts, whatever the historian has studied. Okay, in the chat box, somebody is saying something. Sarthi is saying, ma'am, as we are discussing that history we see or witness, which has evolved from the past, can't we say that history evolved up till today, differs from region to region, and the evolution of it may be induced due to geography, economic, political, and some social factors prevailing at that time? Very correct, Sarthi. Definitely, it is influenced by all these factors and even more. Social, economic, cultural, all these things, definitely, very, very correctly pointed out, Sarthi. So if a person belongs to a different class, his or her interpretation will be completely different than a person belonging to a different class. So all these things, that's why I've been underlining these five perspectives or frames of reference of history: time, space, individual, society, memory. These things influence the way in which, so for example, I write a history book today and I write a history book on the same topic 20 years down the line. Will it be the same? I am the same person. Will it be the same 20 years down the line?
It can be different.
Yes, it will definitely be different, because I'll become more, older. I will have seen different things. I will have forgotten many different things, all those things. So definitely. Okay, so the answer to question number 2 is, history is what you read in books. Yes, definitely, but also much beyond what we get in books, as Samruddhi and Kshama and others have pointed out. Definitely, we have to think beyond certain given presentations and representations and narratives of history in order to have a, as rightly pointed out in the discussion earlier in Marathi, in order to have a fuller understanding of history. Only one version of history cannot be considered as the correct version of history. When there are many different people who can see the other side, there are people who can see the same hand from a different point of view. Your viewpoint, point of view is different. Okay, in the chat box, Rishabh says, ma'am, history is not only taken from the books, but also from different sources. And from these sources, it is our duty to match them, corroborate them, and think that it is authentic or not. And most important thing is what is a thinking of a historian, because his thinking is also going to affect on history which he has written, he or she has written. Very right, Rishabh. Yes. So it's the individual person also, their outlook, as earlier pointed out by Mayur. He was talking of Romila Thapar's narration of the events of Somnath. So definitely it is influenced by the historian. Okay. Then the third question comes, can we term history as a complete story of human past? Is it a complete story of human past? What are your views and what is your opinion? Yes.
Ma'am, history, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, history is the story of human past, but we cannot say that history is the complete story of human past. Because, ma'am, by the main definition itself, history, it is the study of all the important events and processes that have brought changes in the society. And it remembers only those things which are worth remembering, be it success or failure or anything. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And who decides what is worth remembering and what is not worth remembering?
Ma'am, historians, it depends on difference in perception.
Right. So it's my favorite example really, but at the risk of repeating myself, if I ask you the activities that you've been doing since morning, what have you been doing since morning? And you will say, okay, I don't know, I had my breakfast, then I read the newspapers, I had a cup of tea, then I logged into my computer and I saw my Insta account or Twitter, whatever news, and then I came for this class. These will be the events in your day since morning. And if I ask you, did you brush your teeth? And you say, what is there to ask? I, of course, brushed my teeth, or I didn't brush my teeth, or I forgot, or whatever is the answer. Why is it that you think it is not important to narrate in your daily activities that you have brushed your teeth or not brushed your teeth? Why didn't you tell me that? If I ask you the question, if I say you are lying because you did not disclose to me that you brushed your teeth, will I be correct or wrong? Why didn't you tell me that you brushed your teeth when I asked you, what did you do from the morning?
Ma'am, I think because it's very common and it's very basic and it is followed by majority of the people.
Yes, very correct, very correct. Because there are certain things which we choose to ignore because they are just banal, they are just too common, they are just commonplace. Everybody does that. What is there to mention? But if, for example, if I am a person from 200 years from today, and if I am studying the oral hygiene of people from the 21st century India, then the fact that you guys were brushing your teeth, then it becomes a very relevant fact. Am I correct or wrong?
Correct, ma'am.
So who decides which facts are to be chosen in my writing the story of human past and which facts are to be dropped out? We historians, Am I right in saying that it is the choice of the historian, it is the mental makeup of a historian to pick and choose what is to be narrated,
Yes,
what is not to be narrated? Samruddhi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is true.
So that way we are quite powerful people. Though we do not like to think of us in that way, but historians tend to be they get to pick and choose what is to be represented, what is not to be represented. But this opportunity of picking and choosing is also a very huge responsibility. And this brings us to the question of the censorship of our minds, the way we think this is appropriate. And the discussion was, this also has references to the Marathi medium discussion earlier, when somebody pointed out that the language that is used by Tukaram, for example, that language contains a lot of curse words, what we today consider as curse words. But in those days, these were just names of, anatomy, human body parts. So for us, those words are not to be used in the Marathi language anymore. But in those days, Tukaram felt that it was perfectly all right to use those words, talking of the 17th century. So what is worthy of telling, what is proper? These things change in the 21st century, in the 19th century, in the whatever century, in the decades, in the language that we speak. So as I said, for you millennials, certain words are completely okay to discuss among yourselves. In my generation, certain words were not to be used in public speaking. So yes, it is definitely a story which of the human past, as Kshama rightly pointed out. But we cannot really say it's a complete story, because nobody has that capacity to see things from all perspectives. Everybody has got their own limitations, because we are individual, we are unique. Everybody's got the beautiful capacity to interpret things in their own way, but we can stand only in our shoes. Nobody can stand in other people's shoes, figuratively speaking. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So it is a story of the human past, but we can't say it's a complete story. It's always an incomplete story, because we don't know what is to be found eventually. Like the way, for example, up until the early 20th century, people said that the past of India, what was the oldest thing as far as Indian history and past was considered, they felt that Rig Veda was the oldest thing. Eventually, they found out that Mohenjo-daro existed, Harappa existed. So Indian history simply went back by a few hundred years. New facts come in all the time, new interpretations come in all the time. Our capacities, the technology that we have at our disposal, that changes. Today we have DNA testing and all those things. So we can do a lot of things differently given the time, opportunity, resources, all those things. So we can't really say that history is a complete story. It's definitely a story. It's definitely a story of humans and their past, but not complete. And finally, in the last 5, 7, 8 minutes, what do you think? History is a science or it's an art?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Pratiksha.
So, ma'am, I think history is a mixture of science and art, because as we during the excavation process, there is many scientists work there. The scientists use many scientific methods like stratigraphy, layers of mound, and they uses scientific method like carbon dating, to found in which period of time the thing is dead or uh, dead. And as we turn to art, interpretation, there is in history there is interpretation plays very main role, because main role. And as in case of writing of history, interpretation is very important, and interpretation is one type of art. Like many archaeologists use present day analogies to understand what ancient artifacts used for. They use this present day analogies. This is art. So history is history made by the combo processes of science and art. There's both involved in this.
Yes, yes, yes. Very, very correct, Pratiksha. It's a combination of science and art. Any other opinions, differences, or any other uh, things that you want to say, whether history is a science or an art? People have become hungry, 1 o'clock. Anybody wants to say anything about the nature of history, whether it is scientific or artistic or both?
Ma'am, it's
Amruti?
both,
Yes.
as Pratiksha said. It's a science because we use so many scientific techniques to dig out history from the other sources other than books. Like we use numismatics, epigraphy, then paleoarchaeology, then marine archaeology, and all these techniques. Carbon dating is also there. So it is a science, and in terms of art, yes, it is an art because we have to interpret things. We have so many sources around us, but we have to interpret all these things. We have to weave all these things in a matter so that we can know the exact storyline or exact things which were happened in the past.
Yeah. Thank you, Samruddhi. Any other inputs? Shama?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Even I agree with the viewpoints of this Samruddhi and Pratiksha. Ma'am, there is one more reason that we have got rationality. Anything which is scientific, it has to be rational. It must have some sort of reasons. And the same thing applies to history as well. And ma'am, another thing is observation is one of the most important key point, I guess, in both the things, history as well as this science, because anything that is scientific, it should always be observed. And ma'am, the same goes to history as well. In order to say that this thing is a fact, it should be observed first.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other inputs?
I think writing.
Just give me a second. Give me a second. Aditya wants to say something.
I think writing history is also a combination of science and arts. Like you can say the picking of facts and all that's also so scientific. And writing history is the factor of art.
Yeah, the expression, the manifestation, the language that we use, definitely. Yes. Any other inputs? Yeah. Right. So yes, absolutely agree with all of you that okay, in the chat box somebody is saying something. Shivam says scientific art or artistic science can also be called. Yes, and he is giving a smiling emoji. Yes, Shivam, definitely. Yeah, and in a way, what Shivam says is even otherwise very true in the sense that we need not think in terms of binaries. We need not think in terms of it can either be a science or it can be an art. Not necessarily, really speaking, because sciences also have a lot of creative part in it, and arts also have a lot of science in it. Just to give you an example of, let's say, classical music or Bharatanatyam or painting. There are certain things wherein we have to use certain techniques, we have to use certain very, very scientific, very, very precise things. In a rag like Bhupali, for example, or Bhup, you simply cannot sing a ma or a ni. It has to be Saregappa Dasa, it has to be Sadapagaresa. You can't have that note. So it has a very precise kind of a thing, and then the rendition changes. Sometimes you can have a Kanaswar or something, but you can't really go beyond certain very, very set rules when we are talking of an art like Hindustani classical music. Also, in case of science, in order to think up new things, in order to imagine new things, in order to think of new materials, new ways of doing things, you have to be creative. So science and art are not such polar opposites after all, if we come to think of them in a deeper sense of the term. In the chat box, yeah, Rishabh says, ma'am, it is science because it is completely based on research, and its theories help us to learn things like how to run society and nation, which is very scientific way of thinking, like science. Theory helps us to develop ourselves materially. Yes, Rishabh, it is science, but also, do you think that there are certain artistic elements also in it? And do you think that science and art are such different things after all? Art also has a lot of scientific materials in scientific characteristic features to it, and science also has a lot of artistic features in it. Like, for example, the drawings by Leonardo da Vinci. They are very, very precise drawings, but they are very, very artistic and creative also. Science can be provided through evidence. Sarthi says, science can be provided through evidence, but how can art be proved, as it is most of the times impracticable due to lack of resources? How can art be proved, as it is most of the times impracticable due to lack of resources? I didn't get what you are trying to write, Sarthi, really. Science can be proved through evidence, but how can art be proved? Okay, so you are talking of verifiability. You are talking of proofs. Yeah, how can we say that art is to be proved? I think that is Sarthi's question. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we don't need to prove it, we need to manifest it. When we are talking of history as a story, when we are talking of history as a narrative, yes, it has to be rooted in facts. Yes, it has to have certain proofs, it has to have certain evidences, but the interpretation part is always going to be subjective, as we saw earlier also, because it's your interpretation, it is your language, it is your sources, it is your arrangement of sources, and it is your audience also. So both the elements of scientific precision, as we have it in our mind, and also scientific creativity and artistic precision and artistic creativity, all these things do combine themselves into what can be called as history. This is my opinion, of course, and this is my interpretation of it all. If and when the question comes in your tutorial, in your first examination, for example, write an essay on the nature of history, you are definitely most welcome to write your own interpretation. You don't need to toe my line. You have to give your own opinion. That I think, for example, Sarthi, if you were to write the answer, and also Rishabh, if you think that it is a very, very scientific discipline, you are most welcome to justify your answer with proofs. That is what is expected, a creative expression to your thoughts and a justification which is to be corroborated by evidences. Suppose you give examples of this book, that historical representation, it's perfectly accepted. So everybody has their own way of understanding the nature of history, and there is no set thing. Just because Shraddha believes in a specific way of doing things in history doesn't mean that that is the way of understanding history. There are, of course, multiple narratives, multiple understandings, multiple viewpoints of looking at history, and all of them are most welcome in this case. On that note, I'll stop here. We've already exceeded the time limit. So thank you all for attending, and we'll continue the discussion in tomorrow's class. And for the English mediums, the homework is to write the story of the crow and the fox. Anything you want to ask, say hello or whatever, Aditya? Try and come, all of you guys who have completed both their doses, do come to the department. We are still not sure about the hostel scenario. That will be a different process altogether, because you guys have clicked on whether you want hostel, whether you don't want hostel, then the admission process for hostels will begin. That is a different ballgame altogether. But lectures definitely are going on, and you are most welcome to come to the department, provided you have both your shots taken. Thank you. I'm ending the call here. Anybody wants
Thank
to
you,
say
ma'am.
something?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, from when are we going to have our art and architecture classes?
Yeah, the other day we had this Gappa call, and I told you that the teacher for art and architecture is sadly unavailable. Professor Radhika Session was our head of the department earlier, and she's retired now, and she's teaching with Symbiosis, so she's very busy. But the good thing is that I have asked her to give you monthly lectures. Once a month, she will give a special lecture on the topic of art and architecture. So I understand your desire to know about art and architecture of ancient India, and we will be inviting her, but this will not be for assessment. For your optional paper, you will have to choose from one of the two papers that are being taught currently in the department. But if you want to learn art and architecture, we are organizing Radhika's lectures, and she will gladly take those lectures, because when you take a paper, it means she has to assess the everything, your assignments and everything, for which she just doesn't have the time. But she will teach you. She will take whatever number of lectures that she can find time for, and she will take those lectures. But those will not be as an optional paper. She will just, these will be entitled as special lecture series, and she will talk on art and architecture of ancient India. So for your interest, for your UPSC, MPSC things, she will speak. Professor Session will take. We'll schedule those classes once things settle down, probably post Diwali. Because in Diwali we have a full week holiday, starting from the 31st of October. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Yeah. So your last lecture will be on the 30/30 Saturday, and then after Diwali on the whatever is the Monday, next Monday. That whole week is Diwali holidays, but that's all, not more. Yeah. Will that be all?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.